Thanks, Mev. Okay, thanks, Mev. I'm Retz. I'm also a member of the Zoom crew. And I'd like to welcome everybody to One Dyke's Theater, an online book party. Here's the book, an anthology of 40 years of groundbreaking plays by slightly world-renowned lesbian playwright Terry Baum. So we'll be holding up the book and it'll be in the chat throughout the entire presentation. In celebration of Pride 2022, and for the OLAC audience today, Terry and Carolyn Myers, her longtime theatrical partner and editor of One Dyke Theater, will perform excerpts from the plays in the anthology. These include the first play, Dos Lesbos, and Terry's recent award-winning show, HICK, A Love Story, the romance of Lorena Hickok and Eleanor Roosevelt. Between the scenes, Terry and Carolyn share backstage stories of many of Terry's plays, written and produced while living as a lesbian through the passions, struggles, and wild good times, I was part of that, of the women's movement.
Oh, she took that.
So now I would like to introduce presenters. First, Carolyn Myers. She is the co-artistic director with Terry Baum of Lilith, a women's theater. With the company, she has performed as one half of the sketch comedy duo, the Crackpot Crones, and was the original director of HICK, A Love Story, the company's most successful production to date. Carolyn is also the editor of One Dyke's Theater, an anthology of plays by Terry Baum. Okay, and now I'd like to introduce Terry Baum and with a personal story. I moved to San Francisco in 1985, and I met Terry Baum in 1986. I'm sorry, in 1995. I'm sorry. Wow, that would have been a long time ago. 1995, and I met Terry Baum in 1996. She'd written a play called Two Fools and was looking for a Dyke stage manager. Hey, that's me. She interviewed me at Josie's Juice Joint in the Castro, if any of you know San Francisco. I told her I'd stage managed many festivals and live music events, and I was a member of the Lesbian Thespians, a theater company on Long Island. We had performed Dos Lesbos and had asked Terry's permission to do so. She not only gave us permission, she didn't take any money, and she was thrilled and wished us good luck. I'll never forget that. So in short, I was hired to stage manage Two Fools. The first time ever being a Dyke helped me get a job. We had a great time putting on the play in San Francisco, and Terry literally taught me everything I know about theater production. I became her stage manager for life. So welcome, please, to my friends today, Carolyn Myers and Terry Baum.
Oh, thanks, Retz.
Yeah, that was a wonderful intro, Retz.
Yeah, definitely.
And thank you, Matt, for the surprise video. We knew the song was coming, but we had no idea about the video.
Yeah. We'll try to balance the celebration of heterosexual love with the rest of the show.
Yeah. So I am Terry Baum, slightly world-renowned lesbian playwright.
And I am Carolyn Myers, retired warrior princess of comedy. And this
is the book we wrote together.
Yes.
One Dyke's Theater. And the reason that we wrote this book was because Carolyn told me that her main fear in life was that she would outlive me and she would have to do an anthology of my plays by herself. And I felt that I had an obligation to relieve her of
and
that terrible fear.
It did relieve me. It's one of the things I no longer fear I still have to accomplish in this lifetime. So our book was published by Exit Press, which is a small press in San Francisco connected with the Exit Theater. And it is selected plays 1975 to 2014 by Terry. There's 10 plays in this anthology. Now, I've been there since the beginning. In fact, Terry and I met and started working together 50 years ago.
Yes, that's right.
In 1972. I'm gonna read you a paragraph from the introduction, which I know, but I just want to cue you in how, in addition to the plays in this book, there are lots and lots of stories about how each play came to be, and also sort of the background in the women's movement and the cultural things that were happening during those years.
So this anthology is written not just to get the plays out, but to get a lot of the history of the times out. So even if you are not that interested in performing a play, there's a lot in this book that you might find a lot of fun.
Yes. So Terry and I met in 1972 in Isla Vista, California, the student ghetto next to the University of California in Santa Barbara. She put a notice on a bulletin board calling for the creation of a community theater, and I attended the first organizational meeting. That night, we started the Isla Vista Community Theater, a source of many productions, endless joyful work, no money, and great parties.
But eventually, Isla Vista was too small for me, so I moved to the big city, Santa Cruz.
Yeah, that great metropolis.
Yes, right. To create a theater, Berry Public Theater, with my friends from college. And it turned out I was the only woman in the group. And even though these men were very nice men, it was just a great big drag. So there was going to be a women's music festival, one of the very first ones.
The Amazon Music Project.
In the Redwoods. And I invited Carolyn and my other women friends from Isla Vista to come up and go to it.
It was really, for all of us, it was our first time in a women's only space, and it was paradise.
It was just an incredible experience because all these naked women, I mean, all these breasts, you know, every single pair of breasts is different from every other pair of breasts. It's amazing. And spectacular music. And at one point we went into the rec center to get cool off. And there was this very tall, naked African-American woman with a beard playing the piano and singing just to herself. Just for the joy of doing it. And that was Gwen Avery. That was my first encounter with the great Gwen Avery. It was just an amazing, amazing thing. And then some men whose social home this place was came to the gate on motorcycles, 5 men, and they wanted in and they were pissed off. And I was pissed off too. I was totally enraged. And I felt that there are 200 of us and 5 of them, so let's kill them. However, Carolyn felt differently.
So a small group of us, an ad hoc committee formed, and we went up to the gate and talked to the men. And it was astonishing because I said to them, look, there's 200 women here and there's only 5 of you. At either your lives or at least your motorcycles are in grave danger. And they literally couldn't see it. They really thought they could take on 200 women. But finally, as they looked at the terrible regiment coming towards them, they took off.
So that was my inspiration for starting a theater of women only, Lilith Women's Theater Collective. I moved up to the Bay Area. I abandoned my male colleagues in Santa Cruz and moved up to Berkeley to start that.
Yeah, Lilith's first play, which was in 1975, titled simply Lilith Theater, brought a unique, irresistible combination of self-mocking humor and feminist politics to the Bay Area theater scene. Lilith was part of a community that was creating a new world. Women's liberation and the gay rights movement converged to upend social dynamics in even the most progressive organizations. As Terry described it later, we were riding the wave and we were creating the wave.
So that was a very, very exciting time, really, to be in theater or to be part of the gay community or the alternative or political community. And so I left Lilith. Oh no, that comes later. Yeah, doesn't it? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Still in Lilith.
Yeah, okay, all right. At a certain point, I wanted to make a living doing theater. And the only way I could figure out how to do it was to do solo work. And at that time, it was an extremely unusual thing. But I decided that was how I was going to make it in the world financially. And so this is a small excerpt from my coming out story that was part of Ego Trip, or I'm getting my shit together and dumping it all on you.
So now our first reading of the afternoon, the coming out story from Ego Trip. The time is 1982. The place is a bare stage. At Rise, Terry is discovered addressing the audience.
I blame the lesbians for the fact that I didn't come out until I was 30 years old. Well, nobody tried to seduce me. I had to move to San Francisco, start Lilith, a women's theater, and then wait 3 more years until finally in 1976, 3 lesbians joined the collective. One of them was Sherry. The company was creating a new play, Moonlighting on Women in Work. We created material by doing improvisations inspired by the actual stories from the work lives of the actresses. One scene took place in a daycare center. Sherry and I were assigned to be little kids in the background, creating atmosphere. We started wrestling, and the rest of the world disappeared. At some point, the improvisation ended, and one of the actresses was kind enough to tell us that we could stop wrestling. Otherwise, we might still be there. Sherry. She was wild and fun and worked hard and had lots of crazy ideas. As an actress, there was something unpredictable and something very intriguing about her. She was kind of butch and kind of androgynous and very attractive. A week later, we had a photo session to get some pictures of Lilith rehearsing. And one of the women said, "Hey, Terry and Sherry, do your baby act for the photographer." Yeah. Everyone wanted to see the, quote, baby act, unquote. Sherry and I complied. And once again, the rest of the world disappeared. Sherry. Next up, Sherry and I happened to be the only 2 women in the theater group who were going to a feminist conference in San Francisco. When the session was over, Sherry invited me for a drink at the top of the Mark, a bar with a view of the whole city that turned around. It was the fanciest place to go, and I had never been there before. I have no memory of what we talked about until Sherry said, "How does it make you feel that I'm a lesbian?" And I replied, "It makes me want to sleep with you." And we got up to leave. Much later, Sherry told me that although she had known her whole life that she was a dyke and had had relationships with women, that moment at the top of the mark was the first time she had ever said the words, "I'm a lesbian." We went home to her place, an attic room in the Mission of San Francisco that she shared with two women who ran the feminist bookstore. That first night, Sherry just held me. I was freaking out because I could feel my identity cracking up and floating downstream. For the first time in my life, I felt free. I had never realized that I wasn't free. But now I realized that I've been dragging the heavy shackles my whole life without knowing it, the shackles of the patriarchy. Now they were falling off me because I was in the arms of a woman. It wasn't an intellectual experience. I could feel chains falling off me as Sherry held me. There was no going back to what I had been, who I had been. I was a lesbian, and that was that. Even before I had sex with a woman. I would describe my sex life with men as ranging from perfectly fine to pretty lousy. Men and women fit together in a very obvious way, but that's part of the problem. Men are just so happy to have a hard penis, they don't think they have to do anything else. Many of my male partners thought because they were having a good time, I was having a good time. When I'm with a woman, I make love to her, and then she makes love to me. It's sequential, not simultaneous. It's a matter of possession and surrender. When I seek to possess a woman, it's about her pleasure, not mine, although there's no pleasure like giving pleasure. I don't think I ever possessed a man. Let's face it, it's no big deal to make a man come. Their big problem is trying not to come too soon. But to make a woman come, that's an accomplishment. To sexually possess another woman can be very time-consuming in the most delicious way. So Sherry and I were madly in love in that can't keep our hands off each other way. But along with that ecstasy, I was also depressed. I was 30 years old. I'd had 3 long-term relationships with men. I was acutely aware of what I was losing. I was leaving the comfort of belonging to the big S society. I was giving up the right to walk arm in arm with my beloved in public. I never was going to have the chance to make my mother happy by marrying my beloved and giving her the opportunity to create a wedding. I felt terrible when my mother told me she was ashamed of me. I still felt confused and even degraded, knowing I had become something I'd always regarded as pathetic and sick. All of the things that accompanied homophobia are a great big drag, let me tell you. But still, I had no second thoughts. Being free and having great sex made up for everything else. And my depression slowly lifted as I realized that, well, I was no longer part of the big S society. There was a place waiting for me in the Society of Dykes, admittedly a much smaller group, but a hell of a lot more fun. Thank you. Thanks, Crony.
Terry, that was a great performance.
Oh, thank
You know,
you.
I have to say, it's a little strange for us. We're stage performers,
Right.
and we're used to having this relationship with the audience. And I know you're there, and we are having a relationship with you, but we can't hear you. And so we're learning about
Right.
this.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Okay, so Terry served as the artistic director of Lilith for 5 years, and we both worked as actors, as directors, as playwrights. Terry was determined to write about lesbian characters, but this was sometimes a struggle in the collective, where the women, many of them identified as feminists, but not as lesbians. And so it got more and more difficult. And after our grand tour of Europe in 1979, she quit.
Well, I had to. They fired my girlfriend.
Oh, that's right.
What could I do?
So, and that girlfriend was Alice Thompson, new girlfriend. And Alice was just as, she was just as funny as Terry. They were both brilliant, and they realized that their own lives could be a play. So they decided to write a play based on their relationship, and they called it Dos Lesbos. They invited me to come in and help write the play and direct it. And it was amazing, an amazing experience. And we opened at Ollie's in the East Bay, a lesbian bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And good. Okay.
I just want to tell you the subtitle, a play by, for, and about perverts.
That's right.
So that was pretty important to us.
Here's a lot of people have done Dos Lesbos. That's Terry and Alice in that one, but there's many other productions. Okay.
Yeah. So Dos Lesbos was an amazing experience. It was for the audience the first time in their lives that they'd seen lesbians portrayed from a lesbian point of view.
Yes, in all the plays we could find at that time, the lesbian characters either died tragically, committed evil acts, became vampires.
That was very common.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or more common to become a vampire than to just have a regular relationship or life. Or at least they were consumed with self-loathing. And that is not the play we wanted to write.
Right. We were, Kate McDermott came to see the play. She lived in Santa Cruz, and it was for her also the first lesbian play she'd ever seen. And she thought, well, there must be other lesbian plays around. So she scoured the bookshops and the libraries, couldn't find any. And inspired by Dos Lesbos, she decided to edit the first anthology of lesbian plays in the history of the universe, Places Place, in 1985. And Carolyn and I have always been very, very proud of that we inspired that. And 15 years later, in 2000, Dos Lesbos, an Italian translation, was part of World Pride 2000 in Rome and offended the Pope. And we're also very proud of that. And we went to Italy to see it. That's right.
Terry and Alice and I all went to Italy, and we were in the march around the big gay march around the Colosseum, that monument to human cruelty. And, I just got to say that night we were dancing in the forum?
It's a forum,
maybe the forum. We were dancing to Grace Jones was there, and Terry, and there was a big full moon, and Terry looked at me and said, our lives now for sure have meaning because we have offended the Pope.
So that was a very, very special experience for us to be there together in this completely bizarre apartment.
Right.
That looked like it was built by MC Escher.
And now Dos Lesbos, a play by, for, and about perverts. Time, The early 1980s, Ronald Reagan is president. Place, the living room of Peg and Gracie's apartment in a big, politically liberal city with an active gay community. I am playing Peg, Terry is playing Gracie. Scene 1, the job, early evening on a Friday. At Rise, Peg is discovered at the table, drinking beer and reading the newspaper. Gracie enters, kisses Peg.
Hi, Peg. How'd it go today, hon?
Oh, I can't understand it. I did everything Ronald Reagan told me to do. I answered every single want ad in the paper and I'm still unemployed.
Oh.
Maybe I should take up typing.
Oh, please don't speak to me about typing.
Oh, how was your day?
Oh, don't ask.
All
I
right.
don't want to talk about work. I don't want to think about work. Every day I go out in the world and sell my fingers to the highest bidder. So just don't talk to me about work.
All right. I won't ask.
I want to talk about work.
All right.
I had a very traumatic experience at the office today. I was a coward. Gracie Levy, the coward of Abramowitz, Gutierrez, and Chan, attorneys at law, Esquire. It was disgusting. Why didn't I say something? Why didn't I do something? It happened before work started in the staff room. One of the secretaries was telling a story. Nancy Nice said, I went to the wildest party last night.
Okay, wait a minute. Nancy Nice.
Yeah. There's Nancy Kaufman, Nancy Miner, and Nancy Nice.
Yeah, I think I would kill myself if my last name was Nice.
Anyhow, so Nancy Nice went to a wild party, right? And they showed dirty movies there, right? It was awful, she said. But at least it was a man and a woman, if you know what I mean. Everybody laughed.
Except you.
Yes, except me. And then she said it again, just in case everybody hadn't heard it the first time. At least it was a man and a woman, if you know what I mean. Oh, I was furious. I wanted to say something. I wanted to do something. I thought of 50 things to say. I almost said one of them, but they would have thought I was a jerk. Partly for being a lesbian, but mainly for getting upset when they were having a good time. So I said nothing. At least it was a man and a woman.
If you know what I mean.
If you know what I mean.
They're idiots. You know that. You shouldn't let them get to you.
I just didn't want to be a pill and ruin a good time. I just wanted to be one of the gang.
Don't be so hard on yourself. It takes a while to figure out what to do in situations like this.
But by the time I figured it out, the situation is all over. Nancy Nice insulted me. She doesn't even know it. Why didn't I say something?
You know what you need?
What?
You need the Charlene Atlas course in word lifting.
Word lifting?
Oh, yes, that's right. Through a series of gradual exercises, you train yourself to talk back, to lift those heavy, heavy words that have a tendency to get stuck in the back of your throat when you're offended.
Oh, mine tend to get stuck in my diaphragm.
Oh, in your diaphragm, that's serious.
Oh, no.
But not to worry. Charlene Atlas will teach you to bench press those courageous rejoinders, lifting them from deep down in your diaphragm, up to your esophagus, past your vocal cords, and actually say them to someone.
No kidding.
Are you tired of having insults kicked in your face at the office?
You bet.
Are you sick of having innuendos hurled at your head in the streets?
Yeah, sure am.
Are you fed up with ignorant assholes trampling on your tenderest feelings?
You better believe it, sister.
Then Charlene Atlas has the program for you. Her answer is a guaranteed foolproof course in word lifting.
When do I start?
Right now. First, close your eyes and say to yourself, I am a lesbian.
Okay, I did that.
And now say it out loud to no one in particular.
I'm a lesbian.
Now look at me while you say it.
I am a lesbian.
Now, imagine I'm Nancy Nice. At least it was a man and a woman. At least it was a man and a woman.
No. You have to say if you know what I mean. That was the worst part.
Oh, right. I forgot. At least it was a man and a woman. If you know what I mean. At least it was a man and a woman. If you know what I mean. A man and a woman. A man and a woman. If you know
Nancy Nice. What's wrong with a woman and a woman, huh? Do you think it's disgusting, perverted? Do you think we're all too nice here in the staff room to have ever done it with a woman? You're wrong, Nancy Nice. You may be nice, but I'm not nice at all. I'm a bad girl, a nasty girl. I do it with a woman all the time. And I don't like you making fun of it if you know what I mean.
Well, congratulations. Here's your certificate of graduation.
I am a lesbian.
You are now qualified to bring up a host of unpleasant subjects in daily conversations, such as your own homosexuality,
I am a lesbian.
a woman's right to choose,
I'm a lesbian.
and various other topics that people would really rather not even think about.
My fellow Americans, I am a lesbian.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're going to jump forward for 32 years, or in terms of one Dyke's theater, which we hope you will all rush out and order.
Yes.
We're going to jump 6 plays, many great plays, including one we should mention, which is Two Fools, which, as you will see after you've bought the book, on page 118.
Yes. Stage manager, Red Scazillo.
There it is. There it is.
I know, I looked it up.
Of course, Red's abandoned me and moved to where you are in the upstate New York to create culture for you.
We're now going to go to Bride of Lesbostein.
Yeah.
Yes, Bride of Lesbostein in 2013. We've moved into the new century.
Yes. So I'm going to read this little a bit of the production history. We were, okay. Long ago in a city far away, Amsterdam, my friend Mary Wings and I sat drinking our morning coffee in her flat. Mary wrote murder mysteries and I wrote plays. We were amusing ourselves by thinking of funny titles for future plays and novels we might write. She came up with the title, Bride of Lesbostein. We thought that was hilarious and we laughed heartily and went on about our days. Meanwhile, that tantalizing title was burrowing its way into my brain. I was absolutely certain that one day I would write a play that went with that title. 25 years went by. Mary and I both moved back to San Francisco. She wrote more mysteries. I wrote more plays. Carolyn and I became the Crackpot Crones, a sketch, comedy, and improv duo that focused on feminist and lesbian hilarity. Then in 2011, the Crackpot Crones started doing plays for the holidays. We did Moms for Mother's Day, the I Hate Valentine's Day show for that horrible holiday that I can't stand. And the idea for Lesbostein came out of its burrow to become a play for Halloween. I did all the writing during sessions of our Friday morning writers group. So I'm a firm believer in getting together with other writers once a week. And if you're not doing writing any other way, do it in the group, because that's where Bride of Lesbostein was born, with the help of Carolyn, Calla and LaRose, Felicity, and Bobby Azubel.
And now the play. Characters. Dr. Gertrude Lesbostein, a classic mad scientist. She is old enough to have had 34 lovers, to have established herself as a mad scientist, and to have seen better days. And Igorina, Lesbostein's assistant, like all the Igors before her, she is utterly dedicated to her brilliant mistress. Time, Halloween 2013, early evening. Place, Dr. Lesbostein's laboratory in a garage in the Mission District, San Francisco. Setting, the action takes place entirely within the garage laboratory of Dr. Gertrude Lesbostein. There is a do-it-yourself quality to the lab, an air of genius and mania. The equipment and supplies are just as likely to have been knocked together from items found in the garage or on the street as they are to have been ordered from a scientific supply catalog. Upstage is dominated by a complicated and completely incomprehensible, and in your case, invisible, machine with pipes and hoses, receptors and exhausts, which Dr. Lesbostein has named the Sarah Bella Poodle. And at Rise, a classic haunted house soundtrack is heard, underscored by organ fugues. An ominous sunset, orange, shows through the window, and there are flashes of lightning. The lights rise on the laboratory. Dr. Gertrude Lesbostein and Igorina stand at the laboratory table. Dr. Lesbostein wears a stained lab coat and big purple framed glasses. Her hair stands up in a spiked rainbow-hued mohawk. Igorina is dressed in purple burlap, peasant garb. As the play begins, we find Dr. Lesbostein expounding her daily tirade to the adoring Igorina.
Igorina, you know very well that I, Dr. Gertrude Lesbostein, have been laboring over my top secret project, the beloved bride, for years.
Years and years.
In a heroic attempt to create the perfect woman, so that finally, there exists a woman so beautiful, so intelligent, so loving, so healthy, so athletic, so witty, such a fabulous cook, so damn good that she deserves to be my beloved bride.
The Bride of Lesbostein.
But in order to create the beloved bride, I needed to capture the finest qualities of all my 34 ex-girlfriends. Now, each of them were perfect in some way. In the years before I hired you, I worked night and day to invent a machine that could do the impossible, convert 34 different DNAs into one living, breathing woman. Here it is, the fruit of my genius, a brilliant upgrade of the three-dimensional printer, the Sarah Bella Poodle. 7 years ago, I finally finished construction of the Bella Poodle, and I was ready to begin the final phase of this magnificent project, the creation of my bride.
So 7 years ago, you put an ad up at Rainbow Grocery, Mistress. I'll never forget the day I walked in, thinking only that I would walk out with the ingredients for a spirulina smoothie. But I happened to glance at the bulletin board and saw your ad. Assistant wanted to sneak around San Francisco and collect DNA samples from 34 lesbians without their knowledge. No experience necessary, slavish adoration required, and my life changed forever.
Strangely, you were the only one who answered that ad.
I never understood why no one but me tore off the little pieces of paper with the phone number, Mistress.
I am a misunderstood genius, a woman born before my time.
You are. And ever since that day, I have collected the DNA samples according to your instruction. No lesbian has been harmed in the process. I have followed your bidding, Mistress. And now I've got the fingernails from number 13.
Fingernail clippings from number 13.
Yes.
Ah, finally, the precious fingernail clippings, the very last ingredient I need to create the beloved bride.
The fingernails of Lena. And there you have it, Mistress, all 34 samples of lesbian girlfriend DNA collected at last.
Yes, I've done it. It is complete. We can bring my bride to life.
Our song, the perfect bride.
Will have the disposition of Lucretia, the tiny feet of Lizzie, and the bosom of Leticia.
The heart of Lanny, Lily's eyes, and Leia's practicality. The mind of Luna, nose of Lee, and Laura's punctuality.
She's still a bit like Lucy and have Laura's love of trivia.
Lucille's hair, Lilani's voice, the ruthlessness of Livia.
Lynette's sense of humor and the laughter of Listeria. And it wouldn't hurt if she could have Lenora's sweet interior.
It wouldn't hurt if she could have Lenora's sweet interior.
It wouldn't hurt if she could have Lenora's spicy, sweet interior. Lenora really did have superb genitals.
Ah, the gentles. I remember getting the DNA swab for that. Very delicate job, Mistress.
I have to admit, Igorina, despite your spectacular inadequacy, every once in a while you carry out an errand perfectly.
Oh, Mistress, thank you.
She'll have the charm of Letty and have Lulu Bella's wittiness. And certainly she'll have to have the lovely Lacey's prettiness.
If she has all these qualities and wears a wedding dress so fine,
then possibly she will deserve to be the bride of Lesbostein. The bride of Lesbostein. Oh, now I will prepare the fingernail clippings so that the Bella Poodle can extract the DNA from them, and that will give me the final piece of that enormous jigsaw puzzle.
it wasn't easy to get the fingernail clippings. Oh no, it was very, very late past midnight. I had to open the window ever so gently. Then I had to climb in ever so quietly. There they were, fast asleep in bed.
She wasn't alone?
No, Mistress.
Who was with her?
In fact, there were two who were with her.
Oh, two. Oh, that slut. My heart.
Oh, yes, three all together.
Oh, go ahead. Stab me, Igorina. Stab me.
Very beautiful. The three, all entwined. Lena in the middle.
In the middle, worse and worse. How did you recognize her?
Oh, by your description, mistress. You always told me she used far too much mousse in her hair.
Her tragic flaw.
So I ever so cautiously and gently pried her fingers away from the other two.
And you didn't forget the nail clippers this time. I said, you didn't forget.
I'm sorry, mistress. I'm sorry. I'll never make that mistake again. I promise. But I very gently sneaked back to the window. I very carefully lowered myself to the ground, and then I ran very, very quickly to the 24-hour Walgreens.
Shut up, you blockhead. I send you to get nail clippings and you forget to bring the clippers. I sent you to get a swab of saliva and you forget to bring the Petri dish to put it in. I sent you to get a lock of hair and you forget the damn scissors.
Sometimes I forget.
Make a list.
A list? A list? Yes, mistress. Yes, of course, a list. I'll just take this pipette and filter paper from the table, stab my finger with the pipette, and using the pipette as a pen, write in my own blood my list. Number 1, make a list.
I'm paying you by the hour. Do you have any idea what the minimum wage is in San Francisco?
Well, you've told me many times.
$10.50 an hour.
Actually, mistress, minimum wage.
$10.50 an hour. $10.50. And I have to pay you to sneak in the window not once, but twice? No, not to mention that I pay for your health insurance. I can't afford it. That's it. That's it. I've had it. I've got to get a new assistant. I'm putting an ad on Craigslist this time. Oh, no more rainbow bulletin board for me. Oh, no, I'm going to get someone competent. Where's my computer? Oh, there it is.
No, mistress, no anything but that.
Oh, maybe I should put it on my LinkedIn profile.
Mistress, I would die if you forced me to leave you.
Let me check my Facebook. Oh, look. Draculetta has posted a photo of the last neck she's bitten. Maybe I should post one of the fingernail clippings.
Mistress, stop it. You're being lured by the evil spirit of social media again. I am. Oh, you slapped me. I'm putting the computer away.
Thank you, Igorina. Thank you. And thank you. We really enjoy being Dr. Lesbostein and Igorina.
Yeah, that's right. I feel that's the greatest, my favorite role of my life.
Yeah.
I love her.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to our last performance of the evening, HICK, A Love Story, the romance of Lorena Hickok and Eleanor Roosevelt.
Okay, so the first person to write a play about Lorena Hickok, who was the most famous woman journalist of her day, was my friend Pat Bond, and she toured around the country with that and a play on Gertrude Stein and many other solo shows for many, many lesbians. She was the first out lesbian performer that they ever saw. And after Pat died, I organized the Pat Bond Memorial Old Dyke Awards, which was to recognize the contributions of lesbians over 60 to the community that haven't been recognized. In other words, it really irked me that the same people got recognized again and again and again. You know, we wanted to honor other people. So we had several very successful Old Dyke Award selections and ceremonies, and people were organizing for a new one. And we in the Crackpot Crones decided to do it, our performance, as a benefit for the Pat Bond Memorial Old Dyke Award.
Yes, so we were looking through Pat's plays, and there wasn't a script for her play of Eleanor Roosevelt and Lorena Hickok, but we knew that it was all her archives were held at the Hormel Gay Center at the San Francisco Public Library. So I went there and requested the play, and what they brought me didn't resemble a play. It was in a huge manila envelope, and it was as big well, this is outdated, I guess, but as big as a major metropolis phone book. I mean, immense. And what it actually was a playwright's workbook. Many versions of many scenes, nothing to indicate what the final choices were. So I sat on my bed and I arranged these in piles, trying to match one scene to the next and one scene together. And then I remember I stayed up all night. It was so fun. And then I finally combined and edited variations down to create a 15-minute piece that would fit in a Crackpot Crones show.
So Carolyn and I, a lot of times, we also were thinking of doing Gertrude Stein.
That's right, which was another of
in the
Pat's
same show.
plays, which
Yeah,
she was very famous
yeah,
for.
right. So I tried, but sometimes we switch parts. So I was going to be doing HICK and she was going to be doing Gertrude Stein, which and then we didn't end up doing. But often we end up realizing that we've got the wrong parts.
However, when I came towards Terry after she'd read the scene, she looked at me and she said, "You will play HICK over my dead body."
I don't think I really said that, Crony.
Yeah.
It's so mean,
Yes. No.
brutal even, I don't talk that way to you.
Well,
I
it's
can't.
lucky that you have me, lovely audience, to provide some truth in this story, which you will be able to read about this and other revelations of
That's right.
of the slightly world famous Terry Baum
When you
buy the
Yeah,
book.
yeah.
And now, without further ado, HICK, a love story. This is Act 1, Scene 3, the campaign train. Lights up on HICK typing. She is on FDR's campaign train.
Dateline, July 20th, 1932. Byline, Lorena A. Hickok. With FDR's campaign song still ringing in my ears, I'm writing you from the campaign train, traveling across the whole country. Eleanor Roosevelt and her secretary, and yours truly, are the only women on this train. Today was unbelievable. Mrs. R turned from stone into butter, and she invited me back to have coffee in her compartment alone. She told me that she'd always been afraid of reporters because a lady only gets her name in the paper 3 times: when she's born, when she marries, and when she dies, huh? So of course she was terrified to have me following her around. Then she turned to me and said, "I was wrong. I want to get to know you, Hick." And she looked me right in the eye. Well, I nearly dropped dead. And I had this funny feeling. I hadn't had it for so long, a kind of excitement, a kind of an uneasiness. Oh, I knew what it was, but I wouldn't even say it to myself. But I sure as hell wired ahead to get a hotel room so I could clean up. Got to look good, huh? Careful now, Hick. Don't be a complete idiot. This woman is straight as a string, married to, for all you know, the next president of the United States. Come on, Hick, get a hold of yourself. You're 40 years old. Mrs. R must be 10 years older. Have some sense. Hey, do you want to be drummed out of the AP? Or God forbid, even land in jail? Just keep it up, old girl. It's no good. I can't help myself. Okay. I'm a monster. But I was born this way. I can't stop. I'm falling. Jesus, am I ever? She started asking me to come back to her compartment all the time. Would I like to join her for tea? Certainly would. Could we take her little Scots Terrier for a walk? Absolutely. Can I help her with some ideas she has? Well, I wondered if she could help me with some of my ideas. One afternoon over coffee in her compartment, she told me she didn't want to be the first lady, never had. I mean, she didn't want to waste her time serving tea to diplomats. She's got better things to do. She actually said, if I were selfish, I would wish for him to lose. Ooh, wouldn't that have made a headline, huh? Oh, but she was talking to me as a friend. You understand, not as a reporter. Then she said, if Franklin is elected, I want to be of use. But doing what? Oh, Mrs. Roosevelt, there's so many things you could do. Hey, you could have press conferences for gal reporters only. Now, I see gal reporters getting fired every day. There's a depression going on. Now, if you had press conferences for them alone, they keep their jobs, and you would have the honor of being the first lady to have a press conference. Well, sure, it would be scandalous. The press conference itself would be news. She said, I don't think I'd be any good at it. Well, I'll help you do it. And then she smiled. Getting off the train one morning, just the two of us all alone on a silver morning, a silver pearl morning, I could not stop myself. I took her lovely, graceful hand in mine and started swinging it like girls do. My stomach was doing flip-flops. My heart was pounding. Did I hear someone coming? I tried to pull my hand away. She held it, and hard. No, there's nobody. Oh, lady, my lady, for that's what you are, whether you know it or not. Do you have any idea what a homosexual is? Oh, I never wanted to get back on that train. All I wanted was to be frozen for eternity with her, holding hands. One night, we stayed up late talking, and she told me about her childhood. Now, you think somebody like that, born with a silver spoon in her mouth, just glides through life. But her mother died when she was young, just like mine, and her father drank. Well, she didn't get kicked out of the house at the age of 14 like I did, but still, we had so much in common. And we had both grown up to make something of ourselves in the world. I felt like she could see my soul. Oh, she was my kind of gal, all right. And I edged closer just so I could brush her shoulder, and I'd casually reach across her, get the salt. You know, I must have looked like a love-starved Cocker Spaniel. Every once in a while, I noticed she was sneaking a look at me. We were outside the train walking, and I slipped my arm around her waist. I expected to be struck dead, or at least slapped. I could feel her breathing. Oh, lady, my lady love, if you only knew, all I want is to hold you, be with you, my lady. Well, I was really stepping it up. Fresh shirts at every stop, even if I had to buy them, polishing up the old Oxford shoes every day. I'd even taken to buffing my nails. Oh, well, I was really making an ass of myself, because now she, the most beautiful lady in the world, was in my mind, my girl. God forgive me taking my unnatural love to her. But if I could have stopped it, I wouldn't have. And if I burn in hell for it, so be it. Well, I had to make a serious pass soon, or forget about it. I had to say what I felt right out loud. It was all I could think about night and day on that crummy train, hearing that damned campaign song and talking softly with her. Thank you. And that is the end of our presentation for this really fantastic anthology, which I know you're all going to click the link and buy. And now we can have time for Q&A.
Yeah, first we do want to thank Olak so
That's
much.
right, yes.
And Mev and Rex and
Deirdre, and there's somebody,
JR.
and JR, yes.
JR, yes.
Right,
Who have crewed this magnificently.
right, yes. Thanks, we're very happy to be here at
Yes.
Olak.
And now we get to see you all, finally.
Yes, so JR, you're going to stop the recording, please?